Welcome back to another episode of Site Visit. Back in the back bay. Want to talk about the second floor. We are going into finishes. A lot of stuff is coming together really quickly, so I wanted to talk about these floors. These floors were installed way back before plaster, have been covered up ever since, and we saved the floor finish for the very end. We have some minor paint touch-ups to do right before we deliver this project. So the clients actually provided this floor. They originally were going to order a pre-finished material. We opted to do a finished in place because of, number one, the way we were installing it, but number two, we wanted to be able to sand and finish this floor monolithically and getting that smooth look all the way throughout. What we have for product here is a white stain topped with a Loba Invisible product. The nice thing about the Invisible product is you have a really dull sheen, which gives it that muted white oak look, which some of you guys on Instagram had mentioned is called Hansel. It's really hot right now, but it's basically, I like to call it a muted white oak, because you have the natural tannins kind of shining through, but with that whiteness that really contrasts, but also pairs really well with the pure white walls. I wanted to also show you guys some of these doors as they're getting installed, or now that they are installed. So we're actually looking at an in-swing door from the back side, and then an in-swing door from the front side. These are the Easy Concept doors made by Easy Jam doors made by Easy Concept. Our strike plates aren't in, so that's why you have this little play here. But right now, when this door is shut, it sits completely flush with the wall. You open that door up, and the door actually swings in. Usually, if you're swinging in, your door is on the back side of the jam rather than the front. That is the product of that Easy Concept door. So like I said, when you bring this closed, it's completely flush with the wall. How about this hardware? Doug, I'm gonna show you this one over here. So this is the back side of the in-swing. You can see how it's recessed back. So the hardware is actually super, super cool. This is made by Fermarni. There is no escutcheon. So all of the hardware is actually routed behind this small square plate, and it's just that whole thing that turns. Really, really solid mechanism, really nice feeling. Very, very difficult to install. The guys had multiple jigs set up. I don't think we have any of these without, actually we might have one downstairs that has without the handle. You can see kind of what that looks like prior to this handle going on, but super cool how this whole mechanism spins, keeps it right off the door just enough so it doesn't rub. And then in here, the privacy, you have these escutcheons on the outside, and then you have the lock on the inside. Another door. Most of the doors are going to be those solid doors, but this right here is a full piece of glass. I believe it's an Eclipse hardware pocket door and essentially a sheet of frosted glass. And this is for the primary bathroom. Really, really cool looking. I'm not going to open it because we actually have to make some adjustments to the hardware. So I've been leaving it shut just to get a good glimpse of it, but show you guys that, that trimless look. You know what? I'll go ahead and open it, just so you guys can take a quick peek. Obviously that space is completely filled with some stuff, but it's completely trimless. So when this is open, you get that peek right into the finished primary bath space, and then have this really cool hardware that spins out. And then another detail we talked about previously is we've actually routed a groove in here and put a bubble seal in that groove. So when this door shuts, it has a nice soft feel to the shut. Let's go downstairs. I got one more detail I want to show you. So if you guys remember, we did not build the kitchen in this project. We had inherited it. It was ordered 5 years ago or something like that, and it was sitting in storage. And it's made by Pogue & Pole. So there's a couple details on the kitchen that we tried to then replicate in our stone detail. You can actually see back here, a great example, is where the toe kick hits the ground down here. Rather than scrabbing it tight to the hardwood, they actually have a bubble seal on the bottom of it. So I think what it's really designed for is to make up for some of the discrepancies in wavy floors, but it also gives you a really intentional gap. Now I know you guys are going to talk about the dust and dirt that gets trapped in there. If you have toe kicks, and there's probably dirt down there anyway, so for you to go back and get the vacuum under there, I don't think is that big a deal. But it really creates a nice crisp line and allows that white to, again, then contrast with our muted oak floors. So on the island here, on the back side, where the cabinetry is, they've actually done something similar. You can see the blue tape down here. That panel stops about 1/4 inch shy of the floor, and it's filled with an anodized aluminum piece. So when we were working with the client about doing these mitered drops on the island, originally the intent was for the stone to come down and land hard on the hardwood floor, which is a standard detail, pretty typical. And when we were looking at the backside of that island, we said, why don't we bring that stone down and land it on top of another piece of aluminum or anodized aluminum, thus creating, again, that really crisp line between hardwood and the white stone. You know, even standing here, it gives it that, you know, opportunity where you see a straight line, where if we're going to start cutting that stone, this goes back to kind of like the mentality of intentional separation between dissimilar materials. And this is a perfect example of it. Guys here mitering or epoxying the miter, finishing that up, we'll get all of that burnished. In a previous episode, I talked about how this stone was originally wrong. If you're paying attention on Instagram, you saw us crane the old one out, the new one in, and now we're wrapping this up. So we are in good shape. See you guys next week.